What if the secret to sticking to a schedule wasn't really about discipline at all? After years of streamlining my workflows to boost my productivity, I've discovered that the answer lies in something much simpler. So in this video I'm going to show you how you can stick to your schedule without needing to be disciplined, the secret to using your calendar in a way that doesn't make you feel pressured, and how easy it is to implement this into your daily routines without needing a complete overhaul. So imagine you're into fitness and you really want to get into a routine. So you try going to the gym every morning, but you constantly fail. You realise you're actually much more productive in the afternoons. You might feel guilty that everyone else is up at the crack of dawn, pushing those weights, but you're just not feeling it. You feel tired and unmotivated, so you put it off. You miss sessions and you feel like you're just letting others down by not even showing up. Once you get into work, you're drained and you struggle to focus. So while some people will thrive on early morning runs, others might find their own rhythm in late night yoga sessions. So the key isn't forcing yourself into someone else's routine, but discovering what will work for you. You might find that afternoons are your best time, so move your gym sessions to the afternoon and start working a little earlier each day. But then you're able to work much more focused as you aren't draining yourself too early. You master peak productivity during lunchtime, and before you know it, it's off to get those steps in on the treadmill. And once you've done that, you're home and you feel like you've had a productive day. You feel less stressed and feeling just so much better. So the key to sticking to a schedule isn't just about forcing yourself and forcing discipline, but changing your schedule to fit with what works best for you. It's about finding your perfect schedule, but before you go rewriting your schedule, to do this effectively you also need to understand the methods to use when you plan your schedule, because life isn't always predictable.
Hell, it would be boring if it was right.
But how can you stick to a schedule when things keep changing? Well, imagine your schedule is a bit like a rubber band. You can wrap it around your fingers, you can bend it, twist it in every way you can, but it's so flexible that it just doesn't break. And that's the essence of how we should be planning our schedule. I recently went on a long 10-day road trip across New Zealand. I'd pre-booked each night's accommodation, so I knew I had certain places to stay each night, otherwise we'd have nowhere to stay. But at the same time, we didn't know what we'd find along each day's journey. We didn't want to be bound to rushing between stops and not being able to take in the amazing scenery. But if we didn't make it by check-in time, then we'd potentially end up sleeping in the car. So how did I plan it? Well, with the help of Google Maps, I worked out the planned travel time between each stop, and then I tripled it, and I used this to plan the journey and decide where we would be staying each night and which routes to go. This built in a buffer which allowed time for unexpected changes and reroutes and detours because we'd seen something interesting, and we were able to enjoy the journey without getting stressed and without the fear of being too late for check-in. So we could sleep each night knowing we were making the most of the adventure. And that's what you can do too. When we're planning a time, build in flexible blocks of time and include time for breaks, relaxation, and even empty padding, which gives you more flexibility. When you're not always tied to an absolute set of rules, you'll enjoy each day that little bit better so that your schedule works for you and not against. But what happens once we've created what we think is our perfect schedule, and how do we stick to it? Well, once we have planned our week, think of it as like a contract or an agreement we've made with ourselves. Just like when we agree to something, it's easier to stick to once you know someone else is aware of it. So what we can do is first, open up your calendar app. Personally, I use Apple Calendar, but any calendar app is great as long as it's something you can easily access. First, we want to make sure that we begin to populate the calendar. Start fairly high level by blocking off time in large blocks. Start by adding the tasks that are time specific. Make sure that any fixed appointments are in there first. These might be meetings or other fixed commitments. Then start looking at what else you need to add in. This might be a daily task to walk the dog perhaps. Maybe you go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week or some existing commitments at set times, so add these in as well. Next, we want to look at the time we need to set aside for various tasks. We don't need to specify each individual task here, just set aside a suitable block of time. We also need to think about our energy level, so keep this in mind when you're choosing when and the duration of each block of time. For example, maybe we're studying for a particular exam, so we can schedule time for this, and let's say we know we tend to focus best late in the morning. So we could add this in every Monday and Wednesday, say from 10 till 12. We know that after 2 hours we get some brain fog, so we're going to ensure then that we stop after 2 hours to take a break, so we'll pop that in there as an hour break for lunch. Now we keep going, adding in other blocks. Maybe we plan to visit some family, we can add this in. We might even need to go shopping for groceries once a week, we can add that in too. And you gradually keep going to populate the calendar. So we can see here that I've scheduled a full week, but notice I've also left some deliberate gaps. And this is to allow flexibility for the unknown, and we'll keep the pressure off us each day, as we'll know that things can be adjusted slightly if needed. But if you're someone who really struggles with sticking to your own schedule, you know the feeling of being unmotivated and no one else really cares. You risk falling behind on important goals. You'll get behind and then this turns into stress because you've built up a mountain of work and tasks. So by sharing your calendar with your plans and making sure someone else can see them, that can also really help. It gives you some external accountability that will help you stay on track, and you'll actually find you build consistency and self-discipline over time. So the secret to sticking to a schedule isn't about discipline, it's about finding and creating a schedule that works for you, building in flexibility and balance between structure and freedom. Then pop that schedule into your calendar and add a dose of accountability to help keep you on track. But what if I told you there's something holding you back from your true productivity? It's the one productivity killer that even the most disciplined people battle with every day, and this one critical element can make or break their success. So don't let this piece of the puzzle hold you back. Watch this next video and discover how to overcome this hidden productivity killer once and for all.